Irreducible complexity. And what that means is that something that is complex cannot be reduced anymore. So you saw the quote that Darwin said that if you ever find a biological structure that cannot, I'm paraphrasing it, that cannot be reduced, and what he's saying is that it cannot be reduced to a single-celled organistic structure, then his theory does not work. And the bacterium flagellum that they were talking about, that motorized system, they said it had 40 protein parts. 40, not one, not a single-celled organism, but 40 protein parts that when they isolated 1 to 40, you pull out one and the system doesn't work. If you could number all 40 of them from 1 to 40, you pull out number 1, the system doesn't work. You pull out number 2, the system stops working. You pull out number 3, the system stops working. It needs all 40 parts. The scientists on there said that if any one of those 40 parts are not present, either the bacterium flagellum doesn't work, or it would never create a form in the first place. It is the motor in the DNA that if without all 40 parts of it, then life is not possible. Let me tell you what I believe. I believe for all of our lives, we've been told that the only thing we can trust is the certainty of science. Anybody heard that? That the only thing that you can trust is the certainty of science, and we put up science against the Bible when it's in conflict. At least people make it in conflict. I've never believed that the Bible and science were in conflict. I believe, and I've always believed, that there were things we just didn't understand. When I was writing about this 30 years ago in college, I still remember making that argument that if we spent as much time trying to understand creation as we were trying to understand evolution, I believed 30 years ago that we would be at an answer already. And I am so thankful for the scientific evidence that is coming out that lets us know today that it takes more faith to believe evolution than it does to believe creation. And so there was this whole discussion. Some of you all may remember it. We've heard that it been taught in schools, evolution, but there was a competing theory that scientists wanted taught in schools. And what the media said was that it was the church pushing its biblical narrative to be taught in schools. And if you look at some of these other videos that I'm going to make you aware of as we go on through this, what you'll find is that it wasn't the church pushing the narrative at all. It were scientists who were saying that there are competing theories out there. And I want you to write this down. The theory that scientists were pushing to be taught alongside the theory of evolution is the theory of intelligent design. Intelligent design. In the video that I've got you watching right now, there's a whole section in there about DNA and how now that we understand the messaging inside of DNA, it is hard. It is just incredibly hard for many scientists who said they're just looking at the evidence and where the evidence takes us to believe that that evolution is how we got here. It has to be intelligence, something outside of nature that has created this. They use an analogy, and hopefully you've watched it. If not, you'll see it when you watch it. It says the messaging in DNA saying that there is messaging in DNA and saying that it just did it itself would be the equivalent of saying that the ink that bonds to paper in a newspaper is what's telling us the news. That the messaging in DNA, just doing it on its own without some intelligence that's giving us the message, would be the equivalent of the ink writing the news on its own. That whenever there is messaging, then there has to be a messenger. That yes, I can sit here right now at my computer and I can type words on a screen and hit send. But the words did not type themselves. I am the messenger that is pulling the words together. And they use an example in the video of monkeys that are at computers randomly hitting keys. And what they said is that what would be the possibility that they would write, I'll just use one, it's not gonna be the one they said, but what would be the chance that they would, just randomly hitting keys, could write the Odyssey or the Iliad? The chances would be nearly impossible, if not impossible, that just a bunch of monkeys just hitting on keys would then produce a masterpiece because they just randomly hit keys. And so at the end of the day, if there is a message, then there is a messenger. And so you'll see that whole piece probably explained much better scientifically than I just did here. But through all of these varying looks at the different scientific and archaeological, biological, cosmological studies that are letting us know today that there's something outside of the system that has guided the system. And so, as I said earlier, I believe it takes more faith to believe evolution today than it does to believe that there was a creator of all of this that we find here today. The whole piece on cosmology will help you understand that even more when you think about the level of precision that we need just for gravity to work, and without it being exactly how it is. And if you watch that part of the video, the chances of they said if they stretched a ruler across the entirety of the universe, it would have to sit in one particular place, move just 1 inch to the left or to the right, that life would not be at all possible. That the level of exactness that the universe needs for all of this to happen it just takes an incredible leap of faith to believe that it happened by some cosmic accident. That this level of order and this level of detail that absolutely has to be present, it's just unfathomable to believe that it happened through a cosmic accident or a cosmic explosion that has the universe in this constant state of expansion that it is in today. As a matter of fact, through the cosmological discussions, the ever-expanding universe, they argue, it also proves the existence of an intelligent designer of the universe, because it is absolutely needed, and the level of its expansion and the size and the speed of its expansion, it has to happen at the speed that is happening in order for everything to be maintained in the order that it is currently being maintained, slowed down or sped up to any degree. And everything we are doing right now is absolutely impossible. And so I encourage you, if you have not watched that video, to watch it. I believe this video has helped me when it comes to talking to others about the existence of God more than anything that I have read so far. There's a book with the same title, The Case for a Creator. There's one for The Case for the Creator. I'm not using that one, but there's the book. This is the study guide, actually, for The Case for a Creator. There's a book with the same title, but for the purposes of our discussion, I'm going through the study guide for The Case for Christ.